I mean, there's people who've had guns for 5 years and their guns are basically inoperable and they're just sitting in safes.
Yep, 100%. And it's a tough thing. Yeah. But, the other thing you got to remember is people are always like, well, how come he never, there's cars, obviously. Mm-hmm. What the hell?
Okay, that's,
Did you not know about Denzel's finger?
No.
This podcast is rated PC for Pew Culture. Pew, 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 pew.
Episode 4 of Pew Culture.
I literally forget that we have to tell people in every single episode who we are. I am Jake. I do movie props and things that have to do with movies for a living. And you are?
I am Colion Noir.
Not his real name.
Gun guy who likes gun movies and gun things. And things.
Other than cars, what other things do you like?
That information will be behind my OnlyFans account.
Dudes.
So, chill out. Chill out. All right. So today we're talking about, honestly, one of my favorite movies.
Yep. This is up there in my list of favorite movies of all time.
Yes, same here.
I have this weird...
Wait, hold on. We probably need to tell them the movie.
Oh, I was going to get to that.
Oh, my bad.
I was going to say, I have a very weird affinity for anything post-apocalyptic.
Same
and
here.
This is like top 5 post-apocalypse movie ever. It's Book of Eli.
Yep, absolutely.
Book of Eli stars Denzel Washington. Obviously, like the king of badasses. Pretty much every movie he's in, he's always the perfect badass.
I don't know if I would label him the king of badasses.
Okay, hold on. The Equalizer? How about Man on Fire? How about Man on Fire?
I'm not trying to say he's not a badass. I just broadening his perspective. I think he's
took a bomb.
I'm saying he is
put that bomb
one of the greatest actors of all time
into someone's rectum.
All time.
And then he blew them up.
I'm broadening the spectrum in which we are giving him accolades.
He blew them. He broadened the rectum. Oh, that's classic. Taryn, you keep calling. What?
So, I'm just saying, I have such an insurmountable level of respect for the acting abilities of Denzel Washington.
Yes.
That I just don't think the box of badass is big enough.
Okay, I'll give you that.
So,
he is more legendary than the word badass.
Yes. But in this movie, he was a badass.
He is a badass in this film. And you know what makes him even more badass?
Effortlessly.
Well, yes. Let's take that back. It wasn't effortlessly. He trained for 6 months and learned the choreograph of every single thing. He did all his own stunts.
Okay. Well, what I mean effortlessly, I mean he portrayed it effortlessly.
Yes.
Like it didn't seem like it was a chore to do.
But he worked hard.
Yeah.
So, because he's a hard worker. He's a good American dude. Yeah, he's just a solid individual. I wish more people were like that. Unlike our producers. I want to go home. Denzel Washington would never say that. He'd say, you know what? Let's do it again.
They're also not getting paid Denzel Washington money.
We don't know how much Denzel got paid. What we tell them isn't their business. Listen, seriously, this dude works his ass off. Everything that he does, he works his ass off. I have not seen a movie flop with him in it.
Me neither.
Because he is literally one of the best at picking roles for himself. Although I'll give you a little bit of tidbit about this movie. He didn't want to do it. His son actually convinced him to take this role.
Which one? The one that's doing the acting role? That's acting now?
Yep.
Okay.
John David,
yeah.
I think is his name. Yep, John David. He was just in a movie called The Creator.
Yes, I watched it.
Yeah, pretty good. Not bad. Not bad.
It's pretty damn good, actually.
But he didn't want to do this movie. You know, it's one of those things where this movie toes a line, right? Mm-hmm. There is a line, and he is I think he's a godly man. Mm-hmm. He's a spiritual man, and this movie toes that line between those two worlds. But name a movie that did it as good as this and as universally as accepted as this film did.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things where by the end of it, you know what he's protecting. You know what he's trying to do. and people still love the film.
Yeah.
And there wasn't much backlash on it. There wasn't much outcry for it. So
I think I honestly, I think if it had not ended the way it did, there would have been more backlash.
oh yeah, for sure.
Right.
For sure. They did the right ending.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, it was the appease all people ending.
What the hell?
Okay, that's
Did you not know about Denzel's finger?
No.
So he had it jammed in something, I forgot. So literally, if you watch in certain movies, his pinky goes at like almost a right angle. So I was going to ask you about that. Did it have any effect in...
Nah, I never saw that. Honestly, I thought maybe that happened after the slap incident or something. Like maybe he tried to block Will's slap and his finger broke.
That was Chris Rock.
Well, no, Will Smith.
Will Smith and Chris Rock.
Yeah, slapped him. So, I just thought maybe that was an injury from battling that off, and he would be the right guy for it. Wait, wasn't there an episode where the slap? Do you not pay attention to popular culture?
oh my God.
There was an incident where Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, and
Where the
Denzel
hell does Denzel come? Where does he come into this picture?
Denzel Washington did the right thing as a man and helped step in and break it up.
What version were you watching?
Do you not? No, it was behind the scenes.
Oh, you talking as if it happened and played out in front of everybody.
It's all over the news. You can look up TMZ and see the behind the scenes stuff of it.
No,
You
but
gotta
the
get deeper.
way you were explaining it, you made it seem like this happened in front of the world.
Oh, I got it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's why we were like, what are you talking
I just
about?
like to project my own knowledge into you guys and then pretend like you know what I'm talking about.
We call that humble brag.
So? What? You said that like that was a bad thing.
I mean, it depends who you talk to.
No, I never saw that. But, Denzel, the cool thing with him is he really does get into his roles. He has to be 100% dedicated to take a role. And, this could have gone the wrong way because it was something that he did not consider doing.
Do you know what inevitably? You said his son.
His son really got into the script and was like, listen, like, this is going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be a great movie. Like, it's something different.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing about this is it took the post-apocalyptic genre, but it dialed it into as vast and as expansive as this post-apocalyptic setting feels. And it is, right? Because he's been walking for 30 years. But it dialed it into one very specific area at a very specific time and showed you what just one community was dealing with.
Yeah.
And that was something like you think about Mad Max, right? And there's all these factions and it's taking place over like
Way more grandiose.
it's just so much bigger. And this really dials it in. The other thing you get to see is how far has the world come after 30 years? Not very far. Yeah. Like it didn't go very far. So, but you can also see that in not only the gear they're wearing, right? Mm-hmm. So if you noticed, Oakley plays a huge part in this movie. Yeah. Obviously eye protection is a big thing in the desert. This movie
That bag was Oakley too.
The bag was Oakley. Yep. It's the Oakley panel pack. I actually have one. Super difficult to find. So if you wanted to recreate this setup, the things that his exact setup, the things that you would need would be an Oakley panel pack. Mm-hmm. You would need the Oakley, what's the name of them? They're not the Outlaws.
You talking about the eyewear?
The eyewear. Oh, okay. Can you pull up what his glasses are? We have 2 pairs here, and they're the chrome editions. Really, really cool. He's got a what's called it's a military duckbill jacket on, so it's got a split in the back. Which is really cool. He's wearing a redhead brown sweater from Bass Pro Shops.
Oakley inmate?
Yeah, the inmates, yep.
Yeah.
So you can actually go through this, and that's one of the cool things about this movie is you can actually go through and like literally recreate his exact wardrobe.
Yeah, the irony behind that is I was, me and Peter were concepting a video before this podcast started. We were trying to concept a video revolving around the Book of Eli where I talk about, it being one of my favorite movies, talking about putting myself in that same situation and what would I use? Mm-hmm. What guns would I use? What bag would I use? And stuff like that. Knowing what I know about the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And we were going to do a video concepting around that idea. We never actually executed it. But
We could now.
Well, yeah, technically, yeah. Because I did actually, I did go down the road of first trying to find the bag so that I can figure out which shotgun I would put in it and so forth and so on. So, I mean, yeah, actually, as you were talking about it in my head, I'm like, damn, I could have just called Jake.
I do. I have the list of everything.
Literally could have just called you.
The iPod, the iPod too, right?
Yeah.
So the iPod, there's several of these used in the film, mainly because they were purposely broken and tore apart and stuff like that. But one of the cool things was when I saw this movie, I was like, you know what? I should go get like an iPod that stores music. Like, what happened if the world would end? Like, where's all my music going to be stored? I literally went and bought like an iPod Classic 7th generation. The funny thing is now you can go out and there's people who are taking them. Mm-hmm. You can buy them with like 2 terabytes, modern connectors, Bluetooth installed to it. They have battery chargers built into them. So like, there's all of these things.
Just make a version that's solar.
Dude, for real.
Like to make a solar music player device that can store music. Damn, I'm just giving away $1 million ideas.
Dude,
man.
we're going to make this.
It's shut up so that I can.
The Apocalypse Pod.
So that I can make that, get my billions, and then you never see me again?
No, because I'll definitely get half. That's how this works. It's 50-50. Anyways, so the kit that he uses is, again, you get into the character and all of the pieces and parts that go into making the character are their own like mini characters. Yes. And we say that about the guns. We say that about the knives. There's one of the prototype blades sitting back there that, that blade, it played a huge part in it. So. And people were like, what? What is that? It's like a mini sword. It's a machete.
That's the funny thing about edge weapons. I'm a gun guy. Right. So, of course, my eyes are naturally going to be drawn to what guns he's using. But the thing that really demonstrated his presence was that damn knife.
And
it was just fluid and smooth. And
he had that choreography down, man. It was so perfect, so well timed. And he could switch in and out of the blade and the gun. And really do what Equilibrium wanted to do, but could never figure out.
It's way less goofy. Gosh.
That's because it's 30 years of being on the road by yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why I think each piece of item he has became its own kind of character, largely because it's so intimate to him. It's the only thing he's carrying. It's the only thing he has, and those are the only thing he's had for 30 years. So they have to become, which is, they did a great job aesthetically in terms of showing the wear, the tear, even down to the gun that's not here.
Yeah, sorry about that.
And I only throw the temper tantrum because that's what made me fall in love with the HK-45.
Obviously this dude cares for his stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Like between the HK-45, the 870 witness protection, the machete, all of those things, and even in that first scene where he uses the bow and arrow, and he's waiting for the cat, and all that stuff. Like he gets to the house, he goes through everything, he sits down, he's cleaning himself up, he's taking care of himself. It might be KFC, but he's doing he's doing it, and
he's doing the whole bath.
30 years. Could you imagine keeping just your couple guns together for 30 years and this hard to use?
Yeah. There's people who've had guns for 5 years and their guns are basically inoperable and they're just sitting in safes.
Yep, 100%. And it's a tough thing. Yeah. But, the other thing you got to remember is people are always like, well, how come he never, there's cars, obviously. Mm-hmm. Like, you put 2 and 2 together throughout, like up to the end of the movie, you're like, well, how come he didn't drive a car throughout it? How come he didn't do this? So, okay, well, if he is hampered by his, something going on physically and he has to carry every single thing on his back. So it's got to be lightweight. How come he never had a sniper rifle? How come he didn't have a sniper rifle, Colion? Because he couldn't see through the scope because he's blind. That's why.
I didn't know if I just wanted to ruin it. But then somebody can argue, well, how is he shooting with a pistol?
By faith.
I understand that, but I also think there's something to be said about instinctive shooting because I'm really big on instinctive shooting or reflex shooting. Yes. But that's what I'm getting at.
That's
because
instinctive.
So for me, when I go out and I train by myself with my carry gun, I don't really train through my sights. I mean, I do a little bit, but then most of it, honestly, is there's timer and there's a target that I know is somewhere, and I try to relax myself as much as possible, and the timer goes off randomly at different times. I hear beep, boom, and I pull, and I try to get on target as fast as possible and get the hits that I want to train my body to align itself naturally without going, because I feel like if I'm going to be in a situation like that, that's what's going to happen. I'm probably not going to really see my sights. So when I see him doing it in the movie, it doesn't seem that far gone for me, especially if you're talking about hearing it. So, everything is heightened. Doesn't have sight, but his hearing is heightened. So he could probably do a very good job of discerning direction of noise and then understanding where he needs to fire.
Except for that one shot that he takes where he's got his back turned, the bullet glances off, he turns, looks at the roof, and then shoots that guy on the roof. Yeah. There's no way he heard that guy. Unless he didn't know he was there.
Or he heard the footsteps because he has superhuman hearing now.
Or Jesus took the wheel.
I'm not going to argue with Jesus taking the wheel.
Exactly. No, so I mean, at the end of the day, that's the whole thing with this movie, right? He actually threw out the reasoning behind how he made it so long several times during it. You just don't know what he's actually saying, right?
Yeah.
She said, "Well, how come this, and this?" And he said, "Well, I've been walking by faith and not by sight."
Yeah.
And he wasn't just quoting the Bible; he was literally telling her that.
Yeah.
But we, as the audience, we didn't gather that for the whole of the movie. You weren't gathering that he's being literal with you. Yeah. And that, I think, made the ending of this film so much more impactful.
Yeah.
Because if you just knew what you knew, this movie would probably be a little kitschy.
But even when I go back and rewatch it, knowing everything, I get to watch it differently. And so I get to pick through, okay, especially from the lack of eyesight aspect of it, right? And then seeing how he maneuvers and handles it. So I don't necessarily think it would make it that kitschy.
No, I mean, it would be kitschy if they came straight out at the beginning was like,
and telling you he's blind. Gotcha.
He's blind.
I
like,
agree.
guess what?
I agree.
He's going to survive for 30 years.
I agree.
Like, that'd be like, okay, that was a little bit much. But the other really good thing about this is, so armors, you think back to the Die Hard episode, right? Mm-hmm. So we had talked about the guns from Die Hard and the armor who worked on that, who was one of the most long-tenured prop armorers out there, Mike Papik. Amazing. Guess who did this film? Mike Papik.
Oh.
Yeah. So when I say that the best armorers in the world are working, they're the guys that are getting hired for the best films out there, I'm not kidding. The guy who does Die Hard also does Book of Eli. The guy who does, and I'm not saying this is one of the best movies ever, but it's certainly iconic. The guy who does Starship Troopers does The Outlaw Josie Wales.
I mean, Starship Troopers was pretty good.
It was pretty good. It's sci-fi, though, so it gets to be in its own category.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But, the guy, it's just so crazy to get to. The guy who's doing The Terminal List also did John Wick. Like, those are the guys. There's no accidents. The guns are propped the correct way. There's optics on all of the ones that need to have optics.
You can always kind of tell when they picked a shitty armor for a movie.
Yeah,
you generally can really tell.
Or there is no armor. You can tell because some movies, there's just no armor. It's a prop master, and the prop master knows just enough about guns to be able to squeeze it through.
Gotcha.
And you know what? Budgets are a thing, right? Money is money. It drives Hollywood. You can only do so much if your budget is smaller.
Yeah.
Movies like Fast and the Furious don't really have an excuse, so that is what it is. We'll get into that in the Fast episodes on why they do some of the things that they do. But there's a lot of secrets. There's a lot of behind the scenes.
Maybe we can get Natalie to show up and sit down and explain to us.
We probably have a better shot at like maybe Tyrese for you.
No, I'm saying maybe we can get Natalie to show up.
Okay, so maybe we can get like one of the her stunt double.
Maybe we can get Natalie to show up and sit down and have a conversation with it. I mean, you don't have to show up.
Okay,
I'm perfectly fine with you not.
That's
being
fine.
There. Yeah,
I will. I'll send you her number, and we'll see who shows up on that day. It'll be pretty funny. But back to Mike Papik, amazing armor, does such a good job at outfitting characters for the way that they should look. And this movie, no different, right? Yeah. Like, there's some things that, people, well, why did he pick an HK? Why did he end up with an HK and not a Glock? Glocks are so easy to find. Like because remember, Eli has no background in.
Yeah.
He's not military. He's not law enforcement. He wasn't a gun guy. Like this dude worked at Kmart. Like Eli worked at Kmart, and there's actually 3 different tags that float around out there up on prop sites for sale. They actually couldn't decide whether or not they wanted him to work at Kmart, Costco, or Walmart. And so the Costco and Walmart tags come up for sale from time to time as a pre-sample prop. Gotcha. They ended up going with Kmart. Eli worked at Kmart until the bombs fell. He went blind.
I have an admission to make. I never knew he worked at Kmart.
Wow. Okay.
And I watched this movie so many times.
So here's how you know he worked at Kmart. Okay. He gets in the bag to get the Bible out, and the flap opens, and he has a "Hi, my name is Eli" Kmart badge in his backpack.
Gotcha.
It's a little secret hidden note there for y'all.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
It's really, really cool. Also, the name Eli, when repositioned, is 3 of the letters in Bible, which is one of the reasons why they named him Eli.
Gotcha. So, there it goes. Hello, my name is. Oh, okay. So he worked at the bougie Walmart.
He worked at the bougie, the blue light special, if you will. There's like 2 left or something like that. It's crazy. Yeah. So
Kmart used to be what Target is today.
I know, right? For real. So we get into this, and we're placing. Obviously, you've already given away HK-45 as his everyday handgun. He uses it extensively, and in ways that HK-45 probably would not be able to be used.
Explain.
Okay, that shot where he turns and hits the guy, one shot knocks him off the roof, perfectly dead. Probably not making that shot with that gun one-handed and spinning.
But it's a 45. Everybody knows that 45's what? The magic bullets.
They are the
45 is a magic round.
Nope. You know what? You're not baiting me into this. I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna do it.
All I'm saying is it's a 45, and there's a reason why he was using a 45, because he understood the power of the 45.
It's the same way he probably should have had a 5.7. The magic of, it's
but it is.
No, seriously. God, you suck so much. Gary Oldman, on the other hand, he actually picked a decent firearm and went with the Browning high power.
I thought that firearm fit him extremely well.
So well. So, and that's the cool thing about a really good armor, right? Is like they can actually place a gun that looks like it's like your dog, right?
Yeah.
Like it just looks like that character. And it was well patinaed, obviously. Again, it survived 30 years after the bombs fell, or whatever happened to wipe it out. But you want to talk about one of the greatest actors of all time? Gary Oldman, man.
No, he killed that part.
Batman, he's in it. He's in your favorite Batman movie. So he obviously has to be amazing.
I always forget how oddly, beautifully ergonomic the high powers are.
It is a design that literally has withstood time. It's
so naturally. It is. Yeah, I think it's an extremely underrated gun for people who are more into modern firearms.
Yes, 100%.
I think they don't really understand how good this gun actually is.
It is really, really good. So we'll actually take this one out. We'll do a little shooting with this one because this is a live fire model. The Beretta. It keeps showing up. It just, there's literally no way around it. It's going to be in everything.
The funny thing is I would never choose, the Beretta would never in any situation be my go-to firearm.
Me either.
However, every time I pick one up, I'm like, I want this.
It's fun, and I like having them. I've got plenty of Berettas laying around.
I have one. One Beretta 92 Brigadier Wilson Combat.
That's a great gun. Yeah. I have a couple Langdon Tacticals. Those are really cool. And then I've just got some of the standards, and they work. They're fun to shoot. I enjoy them.
Yeah.
But if you were like, hey, you get to pick one gun forever, you're like, that's not even making the top 10 for me. But Ray Stevenson did get to use the two-tone, which I think looks a little more It's
Has a little snazzy.
It's a little cooler.
snazz to it.
It's
Yeah.
a little cooler, which is
It
so
fit
weird.
him, though.
It fit him, but it's so weird because Ray Stevenson character is like the most utilitarian guy in the whole thing. But I guess he did wear that jacket with the fringe
I
on
mean,
it.
if we're gonna be honest, though, I'm not surprised he had the kind of snazzy-looking gun, considering his taste in women in the movie.
God dang it.
What?
I knew we were going to get there. You have a crush on Kunis. I get it.
I do.
Like, you like Meg from Family Guy. That's the type of women you're into.
You're not. That's not going to embarrass me.
I'm not trying to embarrass you.
You're
We're
absolutely
literally
trying to embarrass me.
Any women
You
who
are
feel-
literally. You look at Meg and
Look at
you
that.
look at-
There you go. Go to the fifth picture in, right there. That is. Click on that. That's Colin's woman right there. And that's okay. That is okay.
All I'm saying is, I don't care,
Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
because when I see her, I don't see Meg.
Literally, it's the only thing I could see every time.
I don't see her. I don't see. And the funny thing is, see, I know her. When I think of her, I think of that '70s show. So, Family Guy don't matter to me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
She was good in that '70s show, and like, it's not really my type of TV show, but I get it.
You know, I've never actually watched a complete episode. It was always like it happened to be on TV.
Yeah,
And I would like see a couple of scenes, and then I would go do something else.
that's literally the same. I've just watched The Office like all the way through like 42 times rather than watch anything else.
And it's weird because she's not really classically beautiful like that, but she is. It's very odd. Like if you saw her in a room,
Ooh,
if you,
hey, go up.
no, don't go up.
There you go, right there. Nope, down, over to the right, all the way. Nope, up.
No.
Oh, there.
Oh gosh.
That is Mila Kunis and Collins. That's how I picture this interaction going. It's perfect. Giggity. It's so dumb. Anyways, all right, now we get to go to the fun one.
Okay.
Remington 870 witness protection. Yeah. So this gun was not available to the public. Really cool thing. Now, obviously, sawed-off shotguns are a staple in movies, but this specific shotgun, the witness protection, was actually made for the U.S. Marshals for a very, very short amount of time. It came out of an armory. I believe it was Smith Armory. It came out of an armory and was only made by them, and they only sold it to federal law enforcement. Gotcha. So the fact that he got it, who knows where he got it, how he got it, whatever. But, dear Lord, you're talking about end of the world wasteland.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, dude, it's so fun. So, I love guns like these. This is a utilitarian tool used in a very specific situation, and it does its job really well. And so, what we have here is it's really, really cool. You cannot get the witness protection. However, you can make one really easy, and or if you don't have the licenses to make it yourself, we can make it for you. So this right here used to be a Remington TAC 14. And you can see it's just perfectly patinaed.
it's beautiful.
Perfectly patinaed. All of the wrap is all the way that it was done for the movie. The base layer of duct tape, and then getting into the actual like skateboard grip tape type stuff.
Yeah.
So one of the big things with the TAC 14 is most of the work is in the end, right? So when you buy a TAC 14, it's going to come with a raised iron sight on the front. There's no way to just take the iron sight off and have the barrel the way it was. You literally have to chop the barrel. So that's one of the reasons why you got to get it from us, and don't do that yourself, please, because you're probably going to get in trouble. The other thing is the end cap. On a TAC 14, the end cap actually goes either to the end or past the barrel a little bit. So we go with this round cap just like it was in the show, and that right there is what's going to get you the actual look. This thing takes 2 3/4 and 3-inch shells, and I've literally never been able to find anything that any of these Remington 870s can't do.
Yeah, this is a bad boy.
She's a bad boy.
It's just so cool. So impractical, but cool.
Well, it depends on what you define impractical, right? You are
even down to shooting this thing. It's not going to be the funnest thing in the world, even though you still want to do it.
You do want to shoot it. It's fun to shoot. But if you think about it, right, you are in a bar just trying to get some water. There's a whole bunch of people who are eating human meat, so they're a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
You just smash the face of one of their main guys in, and everyone is surrounding you. What?
It definitely makes the case for the perfect gun for that situation. That much I will give you.
I don't know how many times we're going to find ourselves in that situation right now.
I don't think it matters.
You know what? It's right to have it. Just in case.
Hey, I mean, we'd have it possibly in a apocalyptic end of the world scenario.
And I didn't say it because I didn't, but if it happened, it would be kind of cool. There's AK-47s, there's FALs, there's, so in the scene out in the desert where they go up to the house, they get trapped for a minute. The old people let them out.
That was kind of my favorite scene because that just went into like gun guy territory to the max.
Oh yeah.
Right? They have running MP7s and
you were just happy Mia had
Yes.
had a MP7.
Yes.
Like that's it. That's the only reason you like that.
I just didn't understand why like he wouldn't let her like I want to go with you. I'm like absolutely.
So that HK-45, it was only out 1 year before this was made.
That is true.
So
True.
it's just interesting little things that you hear that pop up. And one of the things that Mike did that was so awesome was he did the timelines perfectly. He didn't use anything that would have came out before this happened.
Gotcha.
So that's really cool. But that gun guy scene where they're in the house and obviously that they're cannibals.
That scene was creepy as hell.
So creepy.
They picked
the right actors.
Yeah,
for it,
they did.
They picked the right actors.
They
When
definitely did.
she comes out, she's like, "Let me make you a sandwich." She's like, "I found the meat." You're like, "Oh God, no!" That's. Whew.
They went texting real quick though. Once other people with guns showed up there.
I hope that's not Robin Williams.
Oh my gosh. What? Well, I don't even know where that came from.
Episode 2. So anyways, Colt M4A1 carbine is what we have listed for the main machine gun this dude used, but he had a lot of machine guns.
Yeah, he did.
He had all of them. MP5s, MP7s.
Just odd to me why he chose to use that one. But anyway.
Which one?
The Colt. I'm thinking in terms of being in the movie in and of itself.
My guess is the way that he's dressed, he probably was some type of veteran, and
Fair
that's
enough.
probably what he was comfortable with.
Yeah.
But he had everything else that was so freaking cool.
I know.
And then he kind of lost his mind after his wife got blown up, and then he died. But they were cannibals, so who cares?
I mean, pretty much.
The Gatling gun, man. Only a couple of prop houses that have those left, and they're used in everything, right? So you see those Gatling guns, you've seen them in Civil War movies, every old school Western that's out there, and it's literally the exact same Gatling gun in every movie. Because there's maybe...
That's just true. It's probably not that many.
There's maybe 8, like, in the country. So every time that you guys see a Gatling gun from now on, you're going to know it's the same freaking one. How simplistic is it to keep it running?
That's true.
You think about like a minigun, one thing goes wrong on a minigun, and like so even today, like when we are working on a film that has a minigun in it, the minigun goes down, you're not shooting that scene. You almost always have to have a backup minigun in order to keep filming, and if that one goes down, you're done for the day. Yeah. Because they're so difficult to keep running, and just the littlest part can knock it out. It's a crank. It's a hand crank. It's so simple that you can keep them up and running for 30 years after the apocalypse.
That makes sense. I didn't even think about that aspect of it. I thought it was utilized for dramatic effect, which I think worked.
It did work.
Yeah.
It did work. But at the end of the day, there's also almost always, especially in gun guys' minds, there's almost always a practical application as to why they did it too.
True.
But no, I mean this movie, the guns, everything, it was just so well fit together. It wasn't too over the top.
No, everything was very level.
Oh yeah,
everything was very. I mean, the most chaotic aspect of the whole movie was this scene right here. It was this scene in the house.
Yep,
that was the craziest part. But even all the other gunfights and everything was very level. And from Denzel's standpoint, even everything he did was very effortless, which is what you would get when you're walking by faith.
Oh, dang. I like what you did there.
I try.
When Denzel Washington shared for Will Smith.
Oh, damn.
Denzel.
Yeah, I agree. Denzel would win.
When did I not go with Denzel?
When you picked Will Smith over Robin Williams.
But the question wasn't Will Smith or Denzel. It was
So what
Will
he's
Smith
saying
or
is
Robin Williams, and we were talking about.
Ooh, better action star, Denzel or Will Smith?
That's actually a very good question.
That one's a hard one to answer.
And because they approach it from two totally different aspects.
Kind of. They approach it from different aspects, but not totally different. They both create their own micro universe inside of their own characters, which is what makes them both such good actors.
Okay.
So they both take a role and they create their own character inside of what is written in the script. Like, that is what made Will Smith such a great actor, was he was really that first major star to go, at least that I can think of from my age gap, my age range, that went, you know what, I read what this character is, but here is the next level in that I'm creating for him. And Denzel does that same thing in every role he's ever taken, where you can see what that character, you can read a script and you can go, okay, this script says this is what I'm supposed to be, but like, here's my defining line inside of that character.
Which, in a weird way, so I've always said that Denzel always manages to be Denzel in non-Denzel characters. And I mean that in the best way possible. Because the Denzel aspect of the characters are always the best parts of those characters. Right? So I get what you're saying in that regard. And I think Will Smith does that too. Will Smith has a ever so slight tendency to overact in some emotional scenes.
Well, so it really depends on the era for me, right?
Okay.
Denzel has been nothing but consistent forever. Like, if you look back at all of his movies, Felon, Man on Fire, freaking Deja Vu, you look at all of those roles and you go, okay, this dude is just consistent. Will Smith has had some issues, either selecting roles that he should not do, or, like you said, overacting, right? What's the one movie? After Earth? Was that it?
Yeah.
That was a shit movie.
I disagree.
I hated that movie.
I didn't.
It was awful.
I enjoyed it. I'm not going to say it was the best movie ever. Nowhere close to it. But I think people went a little too hard on it.
I hated it. It was awful.
I didn't think it was that bad.
Wasn't that bad, or was it a good movie?
I enjoyed it, but I don't think I can get to the point where I'm saying it was a good movie.
Okay.
But I'll be honest with you. A lot of it is insecurity from the standpoint that so many people hated it that
you feel like I
hesitate to say good movie because I'm like, what did I possibly miss that so many people didn't like? And so I'm going to stop short of saying it was a good movie, but I enjoyed it.
That whole movie to me felt so forced. Like, I have to figure out a way to do a movie with my kid.
Of course.
Not a good movie.
I don't think that. See, I
don't do things
that didn't have any bearing for me. The idea that he was forced, he was absolutely forcing it. He was trying to turn his kid into a star, but that didn't have any. I had no issue with that. Like, when I watched the movie, I kind of disassociated that aspect of it and just watched it for what it was.
But then look at how their kids ended up. Not that either one was bad, but look at where Will Smith's kids' acting career went versus where Denzel Washington's kids' acting career went.
Well, in all fairness, though, you are talking about someone who Denzel's kids started acting when they were adults, whereas Will Smith's kids started out as kids. So,
but that's what I'm saying though is Denzel never forced them into a situation where they needed to be in as a kid. He let them develop their own acting chops. He let them develop what they needed to be good actors and choose their own roles. That's why I always have issues with, not always, but I don't mind like the little hints. Like I Am Legend, I actually really liked Willow being in I Am Legend. Like I like that little drop, but it was literally she was just playing a little kid, like nothing crazy. That movie felt like it was a setup for failure for Will's kid to be stuck into this long, drawn-out role that he wasn't trained and prepared for either.
But I think that's all it is. It's just he wasn't ready for that.
Yep.
And so as a result, it's hard to kind of pick up the pieces from that, starting so young, and then already coming in behind the 8 ball because people are already like, oh, okay, Will Smith and his son are in this movie. And then the thing about it too is the movie, he kind of set himself up for failure, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't intentional, but the movie they were isolated. They were the only people in the movie.
Yeah, so you have to be a great actor to do that.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying is I don't dislike the fact that, do what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. But when you're talking about like role choices, right? Mm-hmm. Do it like Denzel doesn't make bad choices, whether his kid can be involved or not. He is so selective about, and I love Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson just does whatever.
Because I think he can get away with it.
He can get away with just doing. He can be the guy in Jurassic Park, or he can be the dude on Snakes on a Plane. But that's not who Denzel is. Yeah. Denzel's the type of dude who has to research and rewrite. He took this script. So when he did finally sign on to do it, he took this script and he went to the writers and the 2 directors of this film, and he took 6 months and rewrote it with them to fit him. Because the way that the character originally was didn't fit who Denzel was.
But that's what I was getting at when I say he always manages to be Denzel. And I think honestly, I think a lot of Denzel's, not to take anything away from his art form as far as just being a great actor, but I think one of the things that benefits him and helps him a lot, and the reason why he gets such acclaim for his acting ability is because he inherently is a likable person. Mm-hmm. And so when you insert yourself being a likable person, inevitably people are going to like your acting.
And so that's another thing, though. You could look at Will Smith up until his recent struggles, mm-hmm. which arguably not really all his fault.
Yeah.
Everyone, and I've worked with Will Smith on Gemini Man. I've got the chance to work with Will. There's actually a picture you guys can show me and Will. He is a very likable person. Yeah. He's so nice, so kind, such a generous guy. Same as Denzel. These dudes are actual real people, which is what makes you want to work harder as the crew.
Yeah.
You want to work harder for them. So I'm not saying anything bad about, Will and his recent role selections, but that's something that I think really has started to hinder Will in comparison to Denzel. Denzel, instead of doing more roles, has just done less. Yes. And he's doing more with less, where, Will has started to kind of take some roles that you're like, I don't know. That one, that's not helping your legacy. You look at some of his other, like Concussion is amazing. Mm-hmm. He plays that, not that I care so much about the topic.
So heartless.
What's that?
You're so heartless.
I'm not heartless. It's just not my world. I
haven't even watched Concussion.
It was pretty good. I mean, it teaches you some stuff, but you can see how hard he worked. Or how about Pursuit of Happiness?
Exactly.
Dear Lord, you want to talk about a movie that tears you apart?
Odd thing is, it was with his child.
His child didn't have to do anything, though.
But, nah, see, just because the child didn't have a lot of acting lines doesn't mean the child isn't acting.
He is acting, but what I'm saying is he wasn't forced to, he wasn't forced to give to the camera. What was that?
That was their cue to tell us to shut the hell up.
Thank you for making it 45-minute timer, huh? Whose idea was that?
Peter's.
Real
Peter's.
Nice.
Because it was your idea.
He didn't. Nice. In the movie Pursuit of Happiness, in his other films, he had to deliver lines, specifically make the audience feel engaged. In this, he had to be a kid. He was able to be himself, and he didn't have to become another character.
I don't think he was another character in that other movie. I think he was being him. I just think people didn't like him.
It just wasn't very good.
He just wasn't likable.
See, and then
Jaden is kind of a weird person. So
you know where I've seen. So Jaden hasn't been in very many movies lately, but he has got a lot of screen time. I've got to see him a lot on screen. You know where?
Where?
On Sal Vulcano's leg on the TV show on Practical Jokers. If you haven't seen it, it's one of the greatest things ever. He literally lost 2 challenges and had to get a tattoo. He had to get a tattoo of Jaden Smith as a kid on one leg and a tattoo of Jaden Smith as a teenager on the other.
That is terrible.
It is. There are different times.
Jaden Smith as a kid on one, and they do an episode with Jaden Smith in it, and he has to show Jane the tattoo. Then he did the tattoo of Jane there with the
It's so classic. So he has more screen credits, I think, from Impractical Jokers than he actually has movie screen credits now. Oh, no hate on them. It's just, hey, man, look, some people want to be actors, some people don't. And I don't even think that is what he wanted to do, right?
He did.
He went on and did a lot of other cool things. Yeah. But at the end
had a couple of songs that were, okay, I can see what you're trying to do.
They weren't whip your hair back and forth, but I love it.
No, it's the other one. Wait a minute. I thought I lost my conscience.
We don't know the words, but it's a cool song.
Yeah, I love that song. I love it. I just know, wait a minute, the song thing.
That's all right. No, I mean, listen, dude, at the end of the day, like, these movies, especially things like apocalyptic movies, live and die by the actors that are in them.
Absolutely.
And the kit that they're given.
Yep.
If you come out here and you try to do one of these movies and you do it half-assed and you don't take the time to create the characters inside of the characters, they're not going to be successful.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Absolutely. Because, I mean, you are in an apocalyptic scenario. We have to be able to relate to you in some way.
Yep.
And if you can't do that, because we're stuck with you, because it's apocalyptic, and if you can't do that, then, yeah, it definitely makes the movie incredibly unwatchable.
I think what makes apocalypse movies, too, so much fun, and you've actually said this a couple times now, is being able to see yourself in that role and go, well, how would I set myself up for this? How would I, like, outside of being a prepper, outside of being, like, someone like that, it takes normal people and allows them to go. And Walking Dead did this so well, right?
Man,
Walking Dead did it so well. Yes. And it made it so that way the masses of normal people could go, you know what?
But if I like, dude, that era was crazy.
It was so wild.
Everything was zombies. Everything on TV was zombie. All the movies were zombie oriented. It was just, it was crazy.
Well, the downfall of The Walking Dead, unfortunately, I don't know. As soon as
I think Negan was.
He was needed, though. Honestly, he was needed for that show. It was time for it to start wrapping up, and they needed to see what the height was. And Negan really was the height of violence for that show. It didn't get more.
The problem is, like, I understand the cliche that in a zombie movie, good zombie movies inevitably end up becoming a story about the people interacting with each other and much less the zombies. But I think the problem with Negan, as much as I enjoyed him as a villain, is the zombies all but completely disappeared. No one cared about the zombies anymore because Negan was such an overpowering presence. It was just, and so at that point, it's like the show almost lost what it was.
Well, and I mean, but that is so. But playing devil's advocate here, if you are in a zombie universe, if you live in that world, and you have lived with the zombies that long, honestly, that's going to happen, right?
I understand that.
It's going to happen. You're going to get to a point where you have it down to a science how to deal with the zombies, right? Like, and these are walkers. These are shamblers. This isn't 28 days later. Exactly, that's a whole different thing.
It's like we're sitting here talking, have a conversation. Hold on.
Exactly. I mean? There's not going to be a Negan in the 28 days later universe because
they're still dealing with the zombies.
Exactly. You have to worry about getting chased down and actually eaten alive.
That's true. But I think there could be something that could be done where there was a certain evolution to the zombies. Maybe. I stopped after like I think right like halfway through the Negan saga.
I stopped the season after Negan.
Okay.
So I got through the rest of that season because I wanted to see
how Negan.
I wanted to see and Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
He killed it.
They started making it to where they could like climb, and I think some of them were like almost whispering things.
Well, so that's where I was gonna say I got to the whispers. Now that you want to talk about fucked up. They were taking and they were literally cutting all of the skins off of the zombies and wearing them so they could blend in.
No, I saw that. I got that far. Yeah.
Dude, like talk about the best way to live. Like, yeah. You can do whatever you want then. You literally don't even have to worry about anything.
I mean, right up until, something could go wrong where they like realize, oh no, it's actually a live living thing.
Yeah, but they never figured it out because they're stupid.
Yeah, it's true.
But hey, I mean, listen. At the end of the day, these are fun. Like, so yes, there's some scary stuff. Yes, there's whatever. But this shit is just fun. Yeah. These movies take you out of whatever you're dealing with and put you in a different universe.
And I love it.
And it's just fun.
Beautiful escapism.
Yes, it is.
That's what really should have named this podcast.
Yeah.
No, I like the culture.
It's way longer though. So
I like the culture.
100%.
Yeah, I wasn't serious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't do what he just said to do. So. Also, John Bernthal, Walking Dead.
I mean, he kills every rope.
He does. He's freaking awesome.
There he is.
You ever watched the movie Wind River?
No.
Wow, dude. Have you ever watched the movie Wind River? Jeremy Renner? Oh, God. We're going to have to cover Wind River. He's in that, too, but he's a rapist.
Okay, we can wrap this up.
All right, guys.
All right.
You have to do the wrap-up because they said I'm not talented enough to do it.
I just wrapped it up.
What?
It doesn't have to be some song and dance.
Watch the next episode, you
Watch the next episode. Like, share, subscribe. You know how this goes.